Here I am with the 2013 Toyota Camry XLE V6. I'm going to be making a driving video today, but before we do that, you can see we're blocked in by the Subaru, so let's start off with a couple of cold starts. Alright. Let this warm up. And now for the Subaru. And in case anybody's wondering, yes, this is a new garage. This is the Avalon 2016 XLE Premium. The Accord is hiding under this cover, 2018 Accord Sport. And here's the Mustang buried under, you know, tons of crap from the recent move. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these two cars off, and then we'll go ahead and drive the Camry. Alright, I've been driving the car around for a little bit, so it's all warmed up and ready to go. So let's go for a spin. So again, this is a 2013 Toyota Camry XLE with the V6. This is the 7th generation of the Camry, which ran from 2012 through 2017 with a refresh in 2015. So this is obviously a pre-refreshed model. This has the 2GR-FE engine. It's the 3.5 V6 24 valve variable valve timing. It makes, I want to say, 268 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque. So if you've driven a 6th generation Camry, the 2007 through 11 model in this trim, I would say that they drive pretty much the same, to be honest. And I remember when this engine first came out in the Camry in 2007, it was really surprising how fast it was. I mean, almost, at times I think it feels a little bit underrated. And this is the 6-speed automatic transmission. It does have a manual mode, but no paddle shifters on the XLE. You had to get the SE for that. The XLE does have dual zone climate control. This was the only trim to offer it this year because the XSE trim didn't come out until 2015. It does also have rear air vents. That's unique to the XLE. It does also have the 17-inch wheels. And actually right now this car is running on its winter tires. They're the Michelin. I'll put it in the description, but it's the same OEM size, 215, 55, 17. Now for a 2013 vehicle, this is pretty well equipped. 2012, when this car was redesigned, is when the screen came standard on all Camrys, regardless of trim. This is, I want to say this is a 6-inch screen. It looks pretty small for today's standards, but it does have navigation. If you go to apps, it's factory built in. You don't have to run it off of your phone. And then it does have Bluetooth streaming audio and all that stuff for the time. No, obviously no Apple CarPlay or anything. This is kind of like the screen you would see on a Prius. We're going to jump on the freeway here. All right, here's an uphill pull. It's quite strong. So I would say this is one of the car's strong suits, highway cruising. You can see we're cruising about 70, 75 miles an hour. It's fairly quiet in here. And you know, my personal vehicles right now are a 2017 Subaru Legacy and a 2007 Honda Accord. And coming from those vehicles, I would say that the Camry definitely feels like you're more isolated, which a lot of people really like. The ride is noticeably softer. I would say overall the car is, you feel less disturbed by imperfections in the road. It just kind of floats along. And the other thing I noticed from driving this car on the highway is you really don't feel how fast you're going. I mean, I would definitely say that in both the Legacy and the Accord, you can feel more so how quick you're going, but you can see we're going about 70 here, but in comparison to what I'm used to in my vehicles, this feels more like 55, which, you know, could be a good thing or maybe not. So, I mean, it's really it really comes down to personal preference. Now, you might notice in the instrument cluster that there's all sorts of fuel economy information, and it is honestly a bit redundant. You have this eco light, which lets you know when you're driving as economically as possible. You also have these bars that light up when you're getting, you know, better or worse fuel economy. So if I step on it, the lights go away, and then if I let off the gas, they come back. You also have, they decided to dedicate an analog gauge here to average fuel economy, but it also shows up here digitally, which is, like I said, pretty redundant. So the fuel economy is a little bit, the fuel economy information, I should say, I think is a little bit over the top. Here's a situation where this V6 really comes in handy. We're behind a truck and we're about to merge on the freeway. And there we go. Now, this being a 2013 model, this was before the days of all the driver assistance tech. I'm not even sure if it was available this model year, but if you're buying one of these used, don't expect adaptive cruise control or blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert. It's just not here. I do think that the 2015 and up models offered that, and then of course the 2018 models have the Toyota Safety Sense P as standard equipment. Now, this being an XLE model, as I said, it is pretty well equipped, but I do think it is missing at least one option package because it does not have the JBL audio system. It still sounds pretty good, you know, the one that's in this car. And something else I've noticed about this generation Camry and the 6th generation is that there's something about the cabin acoustics that just makes, not just the audio system, but it makes just speaking, you know, talking with other people, it sounds really clear for some reason, more so in other cars that I've noticed. And I remember the JBL system in the 6th generation Camry sounding really quite good. And I remember my old 2008 Toyota Solara had the same JBL audio system as that 6th generation Camry, but in my opinion it sounded noticeably better in the Camry because of the cabin acoustics. I'm not really sure if that was something that was done on purpose or what. So again, I was talking about how this really isolates you more than some other cars in its class when you're driving down the road, and especially cruising on the highway. Now, I would say I do have experience driving the, well, now the last generation Toyota Avalon, the 2013 through 18 model. And I also have some experience with the 2007 through 2012 Lexus ES350. So if you compare this Camry to those vehicles, I would say that those cars do isolate you even more. I wouldn't say that this is, you know, Lexus quiet by any means. And I would say that in comparison with even the Avalon, yes, it's a larger car, but it still feels like it's more upmarket. It just, you know, the build quality feels more solid than the Camry. Now, one trade-off of that is because the Camry is a smaller car and it feels noticeably lighter, with this V6 it does feel noticeably peppier than the Avalon, I would say. And I would say the same about that older generation Lexus ES350. But, you know, in terms of the handling department, you know, they're not sporty, I would say. They all ride pretty soft, relatively speaking, and I would say of the three, the Lexus by far rides the softest and, you know, has the boatiest handling, I would say. This was the first Camry, the 2012 model, I mean, to have electronic power steering, and it's pretty much what you would expect. It's pretty light, it doesn't have a whole lot of feel, but it's easy to use and it's pretty inoffensive for the most part. One wheel peel. All right, I'm just going to show you what this looks like from a stop. Yeah, has some problems putting the power down, but it's plenty fast. Okay, so we have a flashing tire pressure light. Just go ahead and ignore that. That's coming on because the winter tires are on the car and the computer hasn't been reprogrammed to accept them. So that's why it's flashing, saying there's a malfunction. All in all, I would say that this is a car that just is really well-rounded and it does everything well as a whole, and it does it all without any fuss. I mean, honestly, it just kind of makes you forget that you're driving. It's really easy to drive, and like I said, it just does everything pretty well. All right. Oops. And again, these are the Michelin Studless winter tires. Yeah, the X Ice 215, 55, 17. They do a really good job. I had these same tires on my Solara back in the day. And here's the key. Pretty typical Toyota stuff. And then here's the back seat. Both of these seats are all the way back, so there is usually more room than this. And then, like I said, you do get rear air vents in the XLE and cup holders. All right.